What's up, and welcome back into ByerlyStudios, everybody. I am so excited to bring you yet another amazing video in this build series. Now, in this series, I have been creating a custom commission piece for another amazing artist and TikToker, Mikes Studios 68. Now, his wife commissioned me to make this for him, and I'm so excited to put so much time into this build. So these are some of the highlight clips from previous portions of the build. Video number one is where I was creating a custom base for the tumbler itself to sit on. It is made out of concrete and steel plates with some hand-painted yellow and black hazard paint and some electrical symbols. Video number two, I am hand sculpting a pair of work boots for him. Video number three is his blue jeans, as well as a fireman's jacket that he uses to weld in, all completed with multi-layered cuffs and work gloves. Video number four is where I'm sculpting his detailed face, ears, and hair all the way around the top of the cup. And as we begin to finish up the highlight clips here of the previous videos, I would like to just say, if you haven't had the opportunity to go back and binge watch some of the previous videos to the point where we are now, I suggest you go do so. They are all linked on my YouTube channel. Go and watch those. Even if you jump through them and just have fun watching particular pieces, do so, because it kind of leads you up to the point where we are now. Being able to see the build in its progression is very fun. And I recommend you all go back and watch those if you haven't done so already, and then come back to this. So nonetheless, let's go ahead and jump into this amazing portion of the build. Now we're going to go ahead and begin the main part of the build. The most prominent accessory that we're going to build is going to be his welding hat. Now I use UV resin to apply 4 magnets to the top of the lid, and that's going to allow me to have a really strong base for the actual cup topper. Now this is probably going to be the most intricate cup topper that I have made yet to date. There are some mistakes that I make along the way. There are things that I wish I could improve on. But the most important thing that I wanted this cup topper to be extremely tight. Now I will say right off the bat, I use a plastic wrap here to go over the top of the tumbler in different ways, so that way it can kind of give me some wiggle room. I should have layered in quite a few more pieces than I had. I will just say that at the beginning. It turned out that the cup topper is a little tighter than I had intended, and I did have to use a X-Acto knife towards the end stages of this portion to kind of slice it down and make the cup topper a little bit not as tight, but tight enough to where it doesn't shift around. This is a trophy piece, not something you take with you daily to drink out of. So this is going to be a 2-part video, guys. I'm going to go ahead and split this off. We're just making the cup topper here. We're not making his actual welding shield yet. That will get its own individual video. Otherwise, this video is going to be 2 hours long, and that's just way too long for my YouTube channel. I want to try to keep my videos under, let's just say, under an hour for these. Normally under 20 to 30 minutes, but that other video is going to be quite long. So to create an overall base for me to attach the actual hinge of the visor, welding visor to, I wanted to create like a bolt system, which is some simple washers, screws, and nuts that I was able to kind of attach things to make it to where it's a hingeable, actual movable cup topper. This is a high level of difficulty just to create something that moves on a cup. But not just that, I'm starting to incorporate, little movable pieces, bolts and washers. And what I decided to do is I'm actually using the top band of a mason jar to attach these bolts through to give it a stationary object to hook into, other than just having clay, or maybe using little washers and then running wires around the bolt, around the washer, and tightening it down. So as you can see here, I'm putting a washer on that interior bolt head, and then I'm pushing that through the exterior of the metal mason band, and then I'm going to put a washer on the interior with a washer as well, a nut with a washer, and then I'll tighten that down just to finger tight, and then I will tighten it down with a Phillips head screwdriver there. So you can kind of see I'm working through the process here. I'm just going to push that through the other side. It almost kind of gives like a Frankenstein bolt effect. Obviously, these aren't as big as that, but it's the same kind of concept. These are going to stick out of the clay of the topper, and it's going to give me a hard metal surface for me to attach the actual hingeable welding visor to. So that way I can make it a movable, functional piece. Now, this is the biggest challenge for this build, other than some of the other accessories that I'm going to build for him to hold. But at this point right now, this is the most intricate piece that we're going to be building. This is also a challenge to myself to build something new, something that moves, something that defies just the overall stationary object of what sculpting tumblers normally are. So I like being able to challenge myself. So as you can see, that mason band fits right over the lid of the cup. It's absolutely shaped perfectly. It is a little bit tighter in hindsight after I got it done, but I decided to run with it, and we're just going to go with it and see how it works out. So what I did is I went ahead and I run a tight nut against the inside. That's going to keep that first nut even tighter than if it had just been by itself. So it's good to have that secondary piece. And I'll be able to attach some clay to that later to create like a little bolt. You'll see that later on in the process. I'm just testing it now to make sure everything runs smoothly across the threads of the bolts. And then I'm going to begin some of the clay process. I did go ahead and attach the top portions of the magnets to where they're supposed to be, and I'm expecting that just the pressure of the magnetism to hold those in place as I apply clay around them. It's a pretty cool feature. I like that I was able to wrap the clay around them in the way that I do. Like I said, I wish I had put a few more pieces of plastic just on top, just because I wanted to have a little bit more of a buffer. The cup topper is very tight when I get done. I'm trying to gauge what size washers and where I want them to be. I decided to go with some larger washers with a little bit more size to them for just the interior piece, where I'm going to have the actual helmet visor hinges on those bolts. So I just want to have those kind of loose to where they can easily move around. It's not too tight, it doesn't create too much wear. And I plan to have the visor, I'm going to put some washers on the interior of the visor hinges so that it's almost a metal on metal action, so it just reduces the overall wear as it gets used up and down. Like I said, it's a trophy piece, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, so with the band and the bolts and the washers, all kind of how I want them, and I kind of got those in my head of where I want those and how tight I want them to be, where I want everything placed. I'm going to go ahead and begin layering on clay up and around the actual magnets, kind of getting those encapsulated where they need to be so they don't shift around as I move things around. The entire way around the process, I am kind of wallering out the port for the straw. Although this is more of a trophy, you're going to hear me say it over and over again, I want that to be functional so that if they wanted to sit a straw up in there to show that it's an actual drinkable tumbler, then they can do so, or it's just going to be just an open hole right there, that's fine. So as we kind of layer in the clay around it, I'm going to push the band down, and that sinks all of the back portion of that band for the most part in a good layer of clay, and it adhesions, it connects it to the actual cup top. So I want that to be a very tight fit so that when the welding helmet is hinging up and down, you don't get a rocking action, which could eventually create cracks and breaks in the clay, even if it is resined or epoxied, with a clear coat. I don't want it to have to risk it breaking just because I decided not to make it strong. So once that's kind of in place to where I want it, I went over the entire band with clay. I'm being very generous in this, and then I'm going to roll that clay down to meet and almost roll over the hairline, so that way it looks like his hair that I've already done in the previous video number 4 is blending upward into the headband of the actual welding helmet. So I'll kind of remove clay, create a shadowed effect there until I get the overall effect. I'll post a picture in the top right hand corner now, and there it is. So you can see that his headband almost has like two straps to it, or at least that's the way it appears. So I go ahead and I seam the middle portion of the band so it kind of has that same effect. It's just gonna kind of break that fabric up a little bit and just make it look kind of cool. That way it's just not all one big headband, kind of like a sweatband or something like that, just to give it some variation. So I'm going to continue just removing clay here and there along the process, and then once I get this portion of the process done, I will begin working on the actual hair for the top portion of his cup topper. So as you can see here, it is a bit of a process just to get everything kind of smoothed in, kind of get it to where how I like it. And then I'm just going to begin layering in thin, but slightly larger than the previous video, strands of hair. And then I actually texture that with the X-Acto knife in the same way. I want his hair to be very choppy, a lot of layers, and I want that to have a lot of shift and change to it, without having to really work hard to do so. So his hair is very choppy. I want it to have a lot of texture to it, but also I want it to be just kind of thin and not too pronounced away from the actual base clay that I've already laid on. So I'm kind of getting that hair kind of where I want it to be. The very front part of his hair is a little bit spiked up in a lot of the reference photos that his wife sent me, as well as what I have pulled on my own from his TikTok. Call it stalking, call it whatever you like. I just had to have some kind of reference so that I knew what his hair looked like when he does decide to style it for nice photos. And it does have a distinguished kind of spike up towards the left-hand side of his head there, looking at him. So I wanted to make sure I was able to capture that in some ways. But that just kind of gives me a general idea of what his hair is going to look like, so that it just looks kind of like his picture. You know, if it looks a little bit different, then so be it. Now, some of that clay that I textured is a little bit rough. If it falls off, it falls off. I put enough on there to where I'm not too worried about it. So the next portion here is just something small. I decided to go ahead and cut out two large, these are kind of like adjustable plastic, adjustable like nuts that go on the interior portion of the headband. They could be like little tensioners or springs. I don't know what they are, but anyways, we're going to run with it. I'll post a little video of that reference in the top right hand corner. 3, 2, 1. There it is. So you can see I'm just trying to create just that kind of like geared look effect. It's something small, but it's something that I just wanted to kind of incorporate in. And I'll probably incorporate this, another one set of these on the exterior portion of the band. So the very far outside bolt on the bolts will have another set of these that kind of go over the bolts and kind of cover all of that silver up with some nice shiny clay. Whether I make these in a silver or a black paintable color, I don't know, but I just wanted to make sure that I was able to texture the exterior portions of that with kind of like a gear effect. Then I'm going to go ahead and sink a washer into this, and then I'm going to slowly try to bore out that insert so that they kind of slide onto the bolt pretty easily. But the having the washer in there allows it to have a little bit of strength, so that if something were to break or something were to happen, it does have a little bit of metal on metal contact, kind of pressuring and keeping these in shape. It's just extra protection. It's no different than an armature wire. I'm just using the washers to do that instead of an armature wire. So, and then I apply a little bit of clay to the interior circular joint there, and that is there for a reason. All right, you can see here, so that reason is when I push it inward, and then I use just a pair of pliers to push in, you can see that extra layer of clay around that center portion is going to meld or mush into the existing headband, and then I'm able to blend that slightly with a dimpling tool so that it kind of blends in and it gives it a little bit extra strength. So I can keep those little adjustable gears as level to vertical as possible. Some of them kind of get pushed around as I do other stages, and I hate that, but the overall effect is there and it's looking pretty good. Absolutely incredible. Now just remember, guys, that this is video number 5, but it was broken. It's supposed to be one video, but I had to break it into 5 and 6. So this is just the hair topper with the headband, the gears, the bolts, and then his spiked hair, of course. And then the video number 6 is going to be the actual welding visor. So it has a lot of detail to it, and it was a lot of challenges for me, something that I've never done. I was able to curve clay, bake clay in different shapes, and smooth clay with liquid clay and liquid bond, and it turned out pretty good. So as we finish up the video here, guys, I would like to appreciate you all for watching video number 5 in this amazing Mikes Studio mad scientist robot build, whatever you want to call it. It is an amazing build, bar none. So the last thing here I will say, I am trying to remove it here from the clay. I made it too tight. I do have to shave it down quite a bit. So I spent around an hour and a half with an X-Acto knife shaving down portions so that although it is extremely tight still, it is functional now, so that plastic or that acrylic topper can be fitted into there, and it stays extremely tight so it doesn't wear and tear as they use the welding visor, which will be completely functional. Not only will it move up and down, but it will also have an eye visor or an eye chamber visor that will also have a hinge door as well, with what I hope will be a poured resin glass insert, just to add an extra level of difficulty to that. So although that video is quite long, and that's why I separated the two videos out, this is the cup topper, actual cup topper, and then the second video will be the actual visor itself. So I'm super excited for that. Thank you all for watching this video number 5 in this series, and I will catch you guys on the next amazing video. Later, guys!